School violence is a problem that threatens the well-being and future of our society, but it can be solved now. It is time to get to the root of the problem, which can be boiled down to one word: stress. I'm Laura Moses.
And I'm Joseph Jorgensen, and we're members of End School Violence Now, a student-founded organization.
We are dedicated to ending school violence because we feel we have an effective solution.
It's a simple mental technique that relaxes your mind and releases stress. It's called transcendental meditation.
During the day, your mind is kind of like buzzing, it's going every which way, and then you sit down and you practice the technique, and it just kind of settles you down and calms you down, and you come out with a clear head, and you don't actually think certain stresses are going to go away and stuff like that, but they do.
What is it like for you while you meditate? What do you feel?
I feel very quiet inside, comfortable, very quiet, smooth. I like it.
Then you meditate and it seems to just, you get so relaxed that all this kind of gets relieved and just completely dissolves.
At first, when I closed my eyes and meditated, it just felt like I was in a peaceful place.
How do you guys feel when you practice transcendental meditation?
When you practice transcendental meditation, your state of mind completely changed to like more relaxed and just less stressed. I mean, basically it's just settling the mind.
Many politicians think that the solution to school violence lies in gun control and entertainment censorship. But this is no more than a band-aid on a broken arm. They only address the surface issues. The root of the problem is stress. For the average high school student, stress is unrelenting and rarely alleviated. And for some, it builds to the point of disaster.
There was a lot of tension, and there was cliques of people, so everybody was totally separated, and there was a lot of fights.
Do you think meditation can alleviate the tension?
Yeah, that's what it does. There's no stress.
If you get a 14-year-old that's high risk, and you give them something else to do with their mind besides think of things that they're going to do after school, and if you have time to just go within yourself, you have no time to go after school and think about other things because you'll be happy. You'll be very happy with yourself.
Drugs is a big issue, and I feel like that's a type of violence as well. And then even I went to a public girls' school for a while, and even between the girls there fights broke out quite often.
Now you're going to a school that implements the transcendental meditation technique into the school's curriculum. Do you feel that has helped the students release that stress and get rid of the tension?
Yes, definitely. It's really amazing to come to this school, and when I first came here, it's actually almost a shock to not see kids having aggression towards one another because you're just so used to it happening all the time. And it's so amazing to see the kids interacting with one another so easily, and also with the teachers.
What we need to do is prevent violence. This can easily be accomplished by practicing transcendental meditation, which releases the buildup of stress in kids. Dr. George Rutherford successfully introduced the TM program in an inner-city middle school.
Out in the streets, they would fight and shoot and kill each other. They came in their school and they held hands, they got along, they had no problem. All of that was because we would turn them around with transcendental meditation. And my students did not get caught up in the violence, killing, and shooting. My students learned how to cope with that. They had to live in that environment, but they were able to cope with that.
Several members from our organization interviewed students and asked them to share their experiences with us.
What type of environment have you and your friends grown up in, and how has TM helped you deal with it?
My environment is very rough. We have lots of gangs, drugs, and all that sorts of stuff, and I have a lot of stress because everywhere I go I have to see that stuff, and I don't want to be seeing it, but it ain't nothing I can do about it. So TM, it helps me calm down, and it helps me focus and not worry about that stuff. It helps me get around it. I've been introduced to a lot of that stuff, but TM has helped me just pass it up. It's not worth it.
But how do you feel that transcendental meditation has helped you even in something like extracurricular sports?
Well, right before we run, we're all really stressed out and really nervous. and that helps relieve it right before we run because we always meditate on the bus, and it really helps because usually beforehand I'm so nervous, I'm like shaking, but it actually improved my race.
Now, most violence isn't actually physical, it's more emotional. Do you think TM helps with that emotional side of it?
Definitely, because it gets rid of that accumulation of stresses every day, and then you don't have to try and release it with any thing aggressional or try and beat somebody up to get rid of that. And it just gets to the root of it.
Why do you think your experiences have been different here at this high school?
Oh, I think it's probably because, like all the kids, like all the students just meditate, And when you meditate, it just like naturally makes you happier, in general. And I mean, you just release all that stress. And, like if you don't have any stress in you, then you're just, happy and you have nothing against anybody.
If I was like real upset by something, I would just meditate.
And you'd feel better?
Mm-hmm.
Now that you've heard the great benefits students gain from practicing the TM program, let's hear what Dr. Alaric Arenander, director of the Brain Research Institute, has to say.
The last 20 years of neuroscience research using the most sophisticated brain imaging techniques has shown that children who exhibit aggressive and violent tendencies possess brains with functional lesions. These functional lesions disallow control over impulsive behavior and do not allow these students to have rational and harmonious activity. The origin of these functional lesions appears to be childhood trauma or emotional and psychological stress, and in many cases is due to drug and alcohol abuse. In the last 40 years, research on the Transcendental Meditation program has shown that the TM technique is the single most effective way to eliminate stress, to develop the full potential of any student, and to normalize brain functioning.
Many of the things that our young people feel, the hostility, the anger, much of that can be dissipated by the use of transcendental meditation. It would have tremendous impact on their lives. And I think we would see a reduction in, and I'm going out on a limb here, but I'm going to say it, I think we would see a significant reduction in school violence.
How do you feel after you meditate?
I feel like silenced, but then when I come out of my classroom after meditating, I totally feel like there's no stress, and when we all walk out, we're totally nice. Like everybody, there's no tension, everybody's nice to each other.
You feel so relaxed and you feel like you can do anything.
Sometimes when I get mad, I'm able to control my anger a little more because I feel that I have more control over my emotions.
I like to meditate because sometimes I have a really bad day and I get to meditate. That makes me feel better.
Do you like to prescribe TM to kids?
I'd really like to prescribe transcendental meditation to children because it's far better than drugs. It allows the children to relieve the stress from daily life and to be able to function really effectively.
It's a great tool, TM, for a child, for an adult, anyone to use to be able to take instead of any medications or pills to relax, because this is something that you can actually do and don't have to pay every time you go to the doctor.
TM has really helped me. Like, I used to get really bad migraines, like almost every single day. And since I've been more regular with it and in this environment, I don't think I've had even one. I mean, it's a great feeling.
So it's like not only improved your school, but it's like schoolwork, it's
Right.
improved your health too?
Right.
School violence is one of the most devastating problems facing our generation. Schools are supposed to be a safe sanctuary for learning and social development.
Something is very wrong when parents are afraid to send their kids to school. Obviously, we need a solution.
With the TM program inside of this facility has helped a lot of kids. Kids are able to express themselves in a positive way, not only here at the club, but at their schools, within their families, where before we had children who every time they got mad, they were ready to fight, kick, scream. But the children who chose to be in the TM training, we see a difference in them.
As a mother of a teenager who practices transcendental meditation, would you feel confident in recommending this program to other parents around the U.S.?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. On every level of her life, I would recommend it. You know, I think she's getting better grades at school, I think she's happier at home, and it's comforting to a mom's heart to know that when you send her out the door, there's some self-reliance, like a protective shield for a child as they go out to the world.
I believe that it would be really effective in giving the students one of the tools that they need
to manage anger and frustration and the other things that lead to violence.
The Transcendental Meditation program can be easily implemented into any school's routine.
And is being done so successfully around the country.
My first teaching experience was in a private high school in Long Island. The students there had the same problems as adolescents today in any schools, but we tried many different therapeutic techniques in order to relieve the students of their frustrations, anxieties, and so on. And some of these techniques had some benefit, but the most effective thing we did was to introduce the Transcendental Meditation technique in the school.
With the TM, it gives me sort of a calmness, like when everything is kind of hectic, you know, my hair don't stand up, you know, I'll just take things as it comes. And working with children, I find that the kids are a little calmer, you know, since taking the TM.
This is the thing that enlivens the entire inner child, and they just bloom, just like a flower opening. It's amazing.
There's some great confusion and ignorance, in point of fact, that transcendental meditation, the practice of transcendental meditation, is of some religious significance. Let me assure you, and I'm sure that the students that I am speaking to initially here, and anyone else who has experienced it and engages in the practice, fully knows and realizes that it is not a religious practice. It is a practice that equalizes, balances the mind, the body, and the spirit.
I've noticed that when I do TM, I've become much more patient with myself as well as with the students that I teach. I found that the students who meditate, when we do activities that are, we call them quiet time, if they do silent reading, or if we have a quiet work time, the students who do TM are able to be focused on the activities that they're doing. They're much more centered.
TM will allow the child to become more connected with themselves, mentally stable, and once that is accomplished, then they can react and with the rest of the world in a better way. But you need that stability within yourself before you can react with others.
We shouldn't accept violence and suffering as a way of life because it can be eliminated in schools, starting with the individual.
We know this isn't the way life should be lived, and students are ready for a change. This is a timely issue, and we have a timely solution.
I'd love to see transcendental meditation be able to be a change agent for so much of what we see now. I'd like to see it implemented in the school environment as a way of teaching young people that there is another way to look at their own growth and development. There is another way to look at others. And there is another way to manage what you feel and when you feel it.
I'm the director of a school of 500 students, where every student practices the Transcendental Meditation program. And I would like to invite you to come and experience for yourself the profound atmosphere of harmony and coherence that we enjoy in every classroom. And then you'll be able to experience for yourself this practical technology which can end school violence all across this great nation.
You really do have a choice. By meditating, you find that there are other options but to be violent. You can be really happy and enjoy your life to the fullest.
So now that you are at this school, do you wish that you could maybe share that with your friends back in Australia?
Yes, I really wish that they could have the opportunity that I've had to experience transcendental meditation.
You don't have the violence with the transcendental meditation. We got to get this whole country to understand that transcendental meditation is the vehicle to not only curb or eliminate school violence, but it is also the vehicle that will give us the quality of life that we all want.